So I've seen a few different cultures sort of have, broadly speaking, different interactions with their companion animal. My life so far, I lived in England for most of it. For about 4 or 5 years growing up, I moved to Nepal in Asia and then moved back to England, and then now I'm in Canada. What I've noticed is that there's just a big variation in terms of how cultures are approaching pets. A lot of which seems to depend on what place the pet has within that culture, and certainly from England, there's, I think in rural communities like where I grew up, there's still a strong working dog, type culture that's present. In general, they're treated very, very well, and some of that is an emotional bond that the farmer would have with their dog, and some of it is an economic sort of necessity because they need them. But I would say, there's certainly differences, traditional, differences in terms of how those dogs are kept. They're often outside, how they're fed. Most of their nutrition comes from farm scraps and table scraps rather than sort of a well-balanced diet. And indeed, veterinary care. Most people are seeking veterinary care in those circumstances when they need it, when the dog's not performing, or when there's a very sort of major issue. The other thing that's prevalent in the UK is companion animals as pets in the family, and I think increasingly those animals are getting a lot more preventative care. There's a huge sort of shift to try and treat those animals in the broadest sense, as one of the family, and in the same way that you would take your kids or yourself off to the general practitioner to get an annual checkup, or to the emergency room if there was a problem. We're seeing a lot more of that in our companion animals in the UK and then also here in Canada.
Approximately 20 to 30% stratas impose regulations and limitations when it comes to tenancy occupations, and some of the steps that the BC government has taken is to make stringent laws towards animal abuse. If a particular landlord has not had a pleasant experience with a pet in the past, they would like to come to a conclusion that future homeowners would have pets with whom they might not have a friendly relationship. Some other reasons may include the community in which the housing is. A lot of communities do not really align with having pets in their neighborhood, and another reason could be maintaining the architectural integrity of the home or cleanliness in general of the home. That is something that the landlords potentially wouldn't like to happen to their home.
Show us a little bit about this space and what have you built up in this area, and what's been the most work?
Oh, if you look at the barn, if you see this peak roof right here, and that wall, and this wall right behind you, That's what was here when I moved here. That's it.
That's it.
That's all that was here. The manure was so high that my head was reaching the roof. So, replaced the walls. A couple of years later, extended that way. 2 years later, that way. And my last project was all of this.
Oh my goodness. So you've done a lot here.
I've done 95% of this. When I get stuck, I call my uncles. They're in construction and they help me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did all of this. I did it stupid-like because I ended up blowing a disc and ending up in the hospital for surgery, back surgery.
Oh my.
But that's that German stubbornness, you know. Just
Yeah.
get it done.
You get it done. You
Yes.
get it done.
And I got it done, but that delayed it for a while.
Well, I can imagine there's a ton of positive distractions like this, but I can
Yes.
also imagine the amount of workload that it takes just to maintain this place and also keep a good and healthy relationship and environment for the animals. What have been some of the challenges that you have with running Cinema Zoo?
7 days a week, 365 days a year. I'm out here, I'd say 4 hours in the morning, a little bit in the afternoon, a couple hours at night. So you're pretty much doing a 6 to 8 hour day of just feeding and cleaning.
Wow.
But now add on training and add on booking jobs and emailing and invoicing, all that kind of stuff. So the day ends up being pretty much 6:30 a.m. till 9 at night. Go eat dinner, go to bed. That's every day.
BC's laws when it comes to exotic horses and sheep are clearly defined in Residential Tenancy Act and BC Housing Policies Act as well. Some of those include having exotic pets only at certain zoning areas. For instance, a horse would only be allowed in a farmland instead of a residential area.
Hey guys. Hello guys. Do you like to come in? Okay, come on in. Welcome to my family. Hey buddy.
Oh, they're so soft.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So most of these guys are misfits, as I call them. A lot of my originals came from slaughterhouses, to be precise. I would get calls from the owners. They have a ewe in the kill pen and she's starting to give birth. You want it? Absolutely I do. And I'd rush down there and pull a tiny little soaking baby and bring it home. And that's how I got started with a lot of sheep and goats. And I've got two in here. Autumn, actually these two right here. These two are my oldest. This is Autumn and Juliet.
Hi, Adam.
They're 16 and 17 now.
Oh my goodness.
Fully retired. They just hang out here and be nice.
Like, what is the process of going to the vet with them like? Is it expensive?
The best is learn as much as you can yourself and do it at home. So I got very good rapport with my vets that I've done a lot of time. I can get a lot of medication from them because they know I know how to administer it.
Right.
But when it's over my head and they gotta come help, yeah, cha-ching. Like, you're looking at $150 for them to get onto your property. They haven't even seen the animal yet. So to get a $600, $700, $800 bill is pretty standard.
Wow.
Just as when they have an OE. Yeah. One of our horses, he had to have a surgery in here, very tiny surgery. It's $4,000. So, yeah, there's no, what do we call it, Medicare? Pharmacare? Yeah, we don't have that.
Oh my goodness.
But a lot has to do with environment. If you feed them well, you clean them well, you keep them sheltered, you're not going to have a lot of problems.
Kind of like humans.
Pretty much, yes.
For future generations, I just think it's really important to note that the human-animal bond is such a strong and important bond, and it's not exclusively for folks in a higher socioeconomic tax bracket. You know, like, everybody has the right to own an animal, and just because somebody is vulnerable or transient doesn't mean that they're not going to see the benefits of owning an animal, and doesn't mean that their animals aren't being treated properly. Tons of our folks here speak to how they would rather feed their dog before they feed themselves, or that they would spend their whole paycheck on going to get the dog checked out at a vet. So when you see somebody vulnerable with a pet, it's not necessarily a bad thing, and they might have really wonderful lives. It's just that if they're different than, you know, what you're used to seeing, that doesn't mean it's bad. I think it's really important to note that that human-animal bond is for everybody, and it shows, you know, there's a lot of people who have said that it helps their mental health to have a pet. They feel accountable. They found safe housing because they want their dogs to be warm. They take better care of their health. They don't use anymore because they don't want to leave their pet alone. So it really helps build accountability and responsibility in folks as well. And so there's so many benefits to having a pet. I think it's pretty important that we allow everybody to own an animal.
So how did a horse save your life?
I've been quite a heavy alcoholic for a number of years. I've always had horses. I had a previous horse to this one. I used to be too drunk to drive. At one point in the day, you get too drunk to drive. So you wander out into the barn, you're falling all over, and you go, "You're a horse." And I run out of smokes. And you jump on bareback, just a rope around the neck. My old girl would take me down the highway, down Harris, to the corner store. We'd get our smokes. She'd bring me back every single time. And I'm like, it's a death wish to walk on that road, even just walking or biking. I can't believe that she would do that for me. And it's like, she knew me. She was like, uh-oh, she needs help right now. She's not very good. And she would take me. And we did this for years. And she sadly passed away, and my daughter bought me a 4-month-old baby. And in the time of losing my first horse to getting the baby, drinking increased. So it wasn't even all that bad. I call it not that bad at the time of riding like an idiot down the road. But by when I got Joey here, it was an all-day thing. It started at 6:30 in the morning. You pour your coffee, you walk outside, you have your coffee over your back and crack a beer. I could not drive my truck and trailer without at least 3 or 4 drinks because of the withdrawals. So that's the state I was in the last couple of years.
Wow.
And still accepting it at that point. Like, I'll be okay, this is fine. Hey, Jojo. So then I get this little shyster here. And we had no other horses. He was 4 months old, which is way too young to be weaned. He should have been with his mom to learn mom things and how to be a horse. But he had to learn everything from me, and we just bonded like this. It was just incredible, the bond that we had together, because it was just me and him. And we sat out here, and I cried, and I drank, and never loud or mean. There's nothing like that. But I like to sit out here, actually, and listen to the late-night Bible shows with my horse on the radio. That's just what I did. It's not go to the bar and party. It's like, no, sit and drink beer with my horse all night. Yeah, that's what we did. So, So I guess that's not saving my life or whatever. That's just being my little drinking buddy at that time. But I did go to treatment for 60 days. I came back. He wouldn't talk to me. Oh, was he mad? Because I abandoned him for 60 days. But he got over it really soon. And then 7 months of being sober, I lost someone that I was with for 12 years. We weren't married, but he had a very small relapse and never woke up. And I didn't know what to do with myself because I can't drink. And that's a pain I don't even have a word for. And then talk about me and Joey then. We were just inseparable. I truly believe when they say a horse can feel your heartbeat from 4 feet away, and not only that, they will change their heartbeat to match yours. 100%. 100%. So he got me through that.
In India, in some of the traditions, there are gods, demigods, who have what appear to be, what we would call an animal body. I'm thinking of Hanuman. And Lord Nrsingadev, we just chanted for Lord Nrsingadev a few minutes ago, half man, half lion. And these are not, because of the, tradition that the jiva, the soul, is the same in all bodies. It's not really thought that this is an animal and we're worshiping an animal. We're worshiping this individual, worshiping, the loyalty of Lord Hanuman to Ram, or we're not thinking that this is an animal. We're thinking this is Lord Hanuman. The interesting conundrum in India of, there's a lot of animals wandering around unattended, is, like, you don't lock up animals. You don't turn them, you don't turn them into slaves or pets. You give them their freedom. And as far, whether that is maybe in some cases a seeming to be irresponsible or cruel, it's just live and let live attitude.
Come here. There. You can film him now coming. Jojo, come on.
It's incredible how majestic he looks coming in here. It's incredible how, oh, hello, my boy.
So you won't get a lot of horses do that. Yeah. One of the #1 problems is a lot of people can't catch your horse. You can't. And this guy's like, no, Mama's calling. Let's go in. Let's see what's going on.
Well, I relate to this in the sense of my small little Jack Russell. He is completely my emotional support.
Of course. Now you remember me.
He's the same color scheme as Joey, actually.
Yes.
Max, you really need a girlfriend.
She needs me, right? And he knows I'll never get married because he won't allow it. It's just you and me, buddy.
Max, don't bring a horse home.
We do lots of things. I'll have to show you guys. We do lots of games of fetch. Anything you do with your dog, I do with my horse.
Yeah.
Same stuff. We've just adopted another horse from the SPCA, and they did a phenomenal job of all the veterinary work and x-rays prior to sale.
Every day is crazy different, and I never know what to expect when I walk in. So that could be we get a stray animal, and we have to now learn as much as we can about this. So we do like a physical intake like anybody would get at the vet. as well as provide treatments for them. So we vaccinate here on site and see if we can track down who those owners are. If we don't know who it is, whether that be scanning for a microchip or checking a tattoo and posting online.
BCSPCA is a remarkable organization working towards animal welfare. They've taken several steps towards improving animal welfare, and one of those steps include forming and running animal shelter programs. And societies, and they also contribute towards running these societies in a profitable manner so that they could run their business and also at the same time serve animals.
So this is a wonderful board that this is for all of our volunteers. This was made for them just to realize how wonderful they are. So it's called Gratitude is Essential. Volunteers don't get paid because they're worthless, but because they're priceless. The smallest act of kindness is worth more than the grandest intention. The broadest and maybe the most meaningful definition of volunteering, doing more than you have to because you want to, in a cause you consider good. Volunteers don't necessarily have the time, they just have the heart. Happiness doesn't result from what we get, but from what we give. It's easy to make a buck, it's a lot tougher to make a difference. Compassion for animals is intimately associated with goodness of character. The humble, quiet, behind-the-scenes people are the reason anything gets done, and kindness is like a boomerang, always returns. Volunteers wear work boots but leave a trail of angel footprints. And never be embarrassed by how much you care about animals and how they're treated.